set of transparent, not transparencies, but I'm using the method of slides, and I try to respond to your questions to these slides. All right, my name, Fujita. If you get my name, Fujita in Chinese. If you put this Fujita on the internet, you'll find that there's a lot of Chinese website. And you see, this is the lecture I gave, all right, in China. Right, in China, I lecture in Chinese. In China, you cannot lecture in English if you are Chinese because they would not arrange for translation for you. All right, Michael Lockett. Good afternoon to everyone. Good. Stanley So. Okay, then we have got. I'd like you to show your faces if you can put on the video. I'll see how the technology cope with it. Yeah, good. I can see Nicholas Lee. Right. Don't worry, we have a lot of time to discuss, and we will go into the most important your questions that you have. I will definitely try my best to respond. And thank you for coming and joining this discussion. Michael, I can't see your face. Stanley, I can't see your face. Right. If you can put your face, and if not, then you can raise the question here, right? Right. If not, then I would now. Why is Three Kingdoms so important? I'm listening. I hear someone speaking. I can't hear you louder. Hello. If not, you do both. You write as well. You speak. It will be better. Okay. Now I'll explain to you why Three Kingdoms is so important. Now you must know this Adventists have done a very good job. Right? They have actually agreed to award the diploma. Right? If you put in the effort, and I said that, look, it's about time that somebody recognizes this training that you go through. China is on the rise, and people want to get recognition for it. So maybe I show you a slide here first, right? Okay, now this is very important that you take a note, right? The person to contact if you are interested to go further, right? You want to get, I mean, the world is very different now compared to when I was, right, your age, right? Nowadays everything has to be structured, have to be into a program and all that. Even for dating, right, you have to arrange for men and women to meet to get married. And so right now, just take note, this Emily, Emily, she's recruited specially by Adventists to promote this, to move this, programs that are related for you to cope with the rising China. Her handphone number, 9866-1138. Take note of that. You need to ask her or to WhatsApp her and all that. Right. And we're working together. In fact, we have launched the diploma. It's going on very well. The graduate diploma in Chinese strategic thinking. And it was grounded on my Complete Art of War series. And that was launched by SIM 10 years ago, but it is the content are still updated, but still very valid. Okay, now, right? So if everybody got that down, professors are very bad at marketing, but it's important that right? If you want to, to follow up on this, right? And then you find that, okay. Okay, now this is the other one that is, you will get a book. This is the updated version of my book on this thinking, right, around stratagem. It's called Mind of Sun Tzu, Remnants of Ancient Strategies. It's is now published in the way that I wanted to, as a spring, autumn, summer, winter series. Yeah, any questions? Somebody want to say something? I'm still learning how to navigate with this, learning to use this system. Okay. Yeah. Right, and this is the art of war. You'll get a graduate diploma, which is recognized by the Ministry of Education. In fact, this diploma was actually formulated by us about 10 years ago by Avantis together. But that time we thought maybe it wasn't right yet. But now with the rise of China, I think it's about time. It's about time that we move this program. Okay, wait. Now I have new share, right? You must excuse me. I'm trying to navigate around it. The new share. Let's see, where should I go? Okay, we're back to this right now. All right, I'm trying to get into my slides on Three Kingdom on Sun Liu Qi. I will explain every bit of this so that you are new to this, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Right now, I will start with 36 stratagem. I'll start with 36 stratagem. Right. Okay, I'm so sorry. This is okay now. 36 stratagem. Why the word stratagems? Why the word stratagems? Let me explain to you. Why are they 36? Now, when you say 36, Chinese have a fascination with 3 and 6. 3, 36, Sun Liu Qi. But that doesn't mean there are only 36 stratagems. There could be more, much more than 36. Right, and then you'll find, right, the best way to understand stratagem is that it is the gem of a strategy. Meaning to say, right, it is something that is, very precious, and it is something that you can apply. And of course, you'll find the key really, the key point in this is, right, when you have a problem, this is the simplest way to explain stratagem. When you have a problem, and then of course, one of the things that Chinese have done for 5,000 years is to accumulate all these ways. They call it qi. Qi is a strategy, is a plan for achieving an outcome, right? And those stratagems that work, right, the Chinese accumulate them. Okay, so in the Three Kingdom, you will find right now. I was Japan, and when I was Japan, I was there sent by the government, and I was surprised. The Japanese didn't put much emphasis on MBA. Instead, right, they focus a lot on Three Kingdom, art of war. All right, and then Musashi, and then they also focus on Sui Fu Zhuan, right? All men are brothers. And on top of that, they also include, right, CU Qi. Now, what is CU Qi? CU Qi is called Journey Is. And of course, I asked the Japanese, right, why CU Qi? Why do you emphasize Journey Is? And the Japanese said that their book Journey Is has a lot to do with innovation. Sun Wukong, right, the monkey god, he pulls out his hair, and then he blows. And when he blows, right, there are 108 monkeys, little monkeys. So, so imagination. Right? So the Japanese have already, right, Kuping then already felt that this was the best text to learn on strategy. Right? Any question you should ask, and I think we have got now far more than original thought we got 37 participants coming in, right? Now, so I wanted it to be more discussion, more dialogue, right? And of course, because it's a huge topic, Three Kingdom. I can tell you Three Kingdom, what is the best way to understand Three Kingdom in a context of strategy, right? Three Kingdom is really case studies, right? Now, let me finish this first. And right. So it's a problem, and a stratagem is the formula. It's a stratagem, a gem of a strategy. And the outcome. What the Chinese do is accumulate all this. And there's a book called San Si Liu Ji. And of course, like the book called Thinking Around Stratagem. And of course, the most important thing is thinking. Now, very important. I just completed this deepening phase of our diploma course. I tell the participant, very important is to win. It doesn't matter whether you follow this formula or that formula. No, the whole idea of the formula is to solve a problem and achieve the outcome that you desire. Now, okay, I'm a barrister, right? Lawyers, right? Of course, lawyers, you go to court. Right? And of course, I tell people that it's far better than going to court, right? Is to go for mediation, negotiate an outcome. Because when you go to a judge, you may have outcome that you do not desire. Right? The outcome is very important, a solution to a problem. The outcome must be one that you desire. So the art of the stratagem is apply a set of procedure, or you may like, right? What to do, dance step, I call it dance step, so that you achieve what you want to achieve. Now let me move on from there. All right. And of course, you find, right? I always use this as an example, right? To help you remember what strategy is all about. All right. Is the most famous formula in science are just three alphabets. E equal mc squared. All right. Of course, three alphabet plus one numeral. All right. Plus one numeral. Okay. Now, all the Chinese stratagems, there are only three characters. Three, the most four. Right? But most of them are three. Kong Chen Ji and so on and so forth. Right. So 36. So what it does is really it tells you one thing, that certain sets of social problems can be solved by a set of stratagems. Right. I will stop here before I move on to discuss about Three Kingdom. Any question? No question at all. Yes, one new message I got. Let me check. Right, okay. Okay, now we've got one question from Sim Asun to everyone. And then since I think I can't hear you, I'll read out for all to hear, right? The Three Kingdom is in the chat. It's based on a novel or real events. Okay, this is a very good question because you must get the fundamentals right. Right? But of course, when you attend a full program, there'll be lectures, and most of them will be videotaped. Eh? But then at the starting point, now let me tell you, Three Kingdom is right. It is based on historical event. Right. In other words, the novel was inspired by actual event that has happened. And also, if you know Chinese, if I use Chinese, if those who are not knowing Chinese, bear with me for a while. I'll explain, right, the technicality of it. All right. 三国演义 is called 演义. What is 演义? It's called romance. The French were the first to love and embrace Chinese culture. The French were the first to translate Art of War into French. And they were the first, of course, I'm sure, to translate Three Kingdom into French. And for the French, romance is actually a novel. But you must also understand the vast difference between this novel and they call it novel, but it's really a verbal thing, right? So what the Chinese do after the Three Kingdom event, the Chinese are farmers. 80% of China are farmers. And farmers in the evening after a hard day's work, what do they like to do? I take out coffee, right? I'm talking. What they like to do? They like to sit around and then look at the moon where the start, and then somebody then narrate a story, right? Storytelling. So it actually was not written as a novel, as you say, for a Lord of the Rings. Somebody write the book and then a film is made and then it's a Lord of the Rings. It can't come with somebody's idea, right? Or any other book, right? But it is more like a Shakespearean play, like Julius Caesar, right? You read, it's like Shakespeare, right? You saw the act, Julius Caesar was being murdered, died so much. So therefore, the play is grounded, all right, on actual events. So Asun, have I made clear to you? Right? Understand a lot of story in novel is not real in history, but creation. No. The author didn't create it. There is no creator for this. It became, all right, it started off by this narration. How many chapters are there in Three Kingdoms? And of course, we are looking to the Sun Tzu Institute with Adventists, right? Looking into teaching this Three Kingdoms as a program. It is not creation, it's actually compilation. Like a journalist, go and listen to the story and then they write a story about it, right? This guy Lo, right? He actually compiled, during the Ming Dynasty, compiled it all together into a book. And he has got 120 chapters, right? Correct, Asun, right? If you read San Guo Zi, you know a lot of stories are created, although he's not even followed the actual one. Okay, no, good. Right, San Guo Zi. Now, of course, I don't want to go into the debate part of it, all right? This is, for example, there are a lot of professors, all right? Okay, I spent my last 10 years traveling around China, okay, so I know the Chinese professors very well. And this, there's one professor, I wouldn't mention his name, right? He says that 三国演义》里面那个空城计不是真的，三国志里没有，这是没有。But I can tell you one thing, the beautiful thing, if you study the Three Kingdoms, don't bother about history. Anyway, history is his story. Don't forget, history is actually his story, right? Somebody's writing the story. It's not like, we're in an age of science, scientific and factual, and But I can tell you, Three Kingdoms is a fantastic book for why you are here today. It is very good for leadership. Yes, very good for leadership, because all those who are in the main characters, they are all leaders or strategy counselors. How many characters are there in 三国演义? 1,000. 1,000 characters. So it's mind-boggling. And if you study 三国演义, all right, then you will find that you will definitely understand Chinese culture in depth. Right? That's why, we want to after the Art of War, we think, and Art of War is best illustrated, and the 36 trade are best illustrated through the Three Kingdoms. Now, okay, I think I reached to the end. Oh, yes. Next, right? I reached to the end of this simple side, right? So, like Einstein formula, many of 36 stratagem is simply the three Chinese characters. If you read San Guo Zi, that's why I just want to know which are you following, history or definitely I'm following the Romance of Three Kingdoms. I'm not a historian. I'm a strategist. Now, if you heard my talks earlier, right? I tell you, very important is strategy deal with the future. I'm not a historian. I'm not interested in winning in the future. You may be interested in doing research on the past. I'm not interested. I'm only keen, all right, to understand Chinese strategic thinking. Why? Because I think that explains why they are ahead of the US today. Strategic thinking of the Chinese is very different from the MBA strategy that you learn. And don't. I'm not against MBA. I got my own MBA. All right. Okay. That's why. Okay, you should not understand. Good. Okay, great. So you're with me. Good. And the key idea is I want to understand the thinking process. And who will support me on this? I can tell you, you'll make your best investment if you study the Romance of Three Kingdoms during this COVID period. then no better investment than studying and understanding Sanskrit, this three kingdom. Why? Look at the world today. Marketing is gone. Marketing taken over by Alibaba and all that. You know, you buy online and then they sell for you, and Amazon and all that. Now, what else remains? Strategy and innovation. Right now, I will move on from here. Right. Pardon me if I'm a bit, you know, sometimes I don't see you, so sometimes I may not be able to. I wanted to see your faces, but I don't see any face at all. It's better if I can see your face. But never mind. I would show you something else. Wait. Okay, I'm trying to get into the. Okay, I'm trying to get into the share, new share. Right. Just a minute. I will show you now about leadership. What is a leadership all about? Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. I'm looking for it. Okay. Pardon me for my sloppiness. Right. But I think I find it already. I'm trying to show you the very important video. Okay. All right, we're going to talk about leadership. All right. I think I want to share some fundamentals about leadership, and this one you'll find, right? I'll discuss something about Art of War inside too. Right, this was a lecture I gave, right? Present a keynote speech I gave on the art of leadership. So since you're on leadership, right, don't forget leaders have to solve problems. So strategy and leadership are so intertwined together. All right, the guest of the keynote was actually Prime Minister Office, Lim Boon Heng. You know him, right? I'm sure. All right, so Sun Tzu Art of War Leadership for Community Lead Champion. Okay, let me explain to you, right? Leadership is in every human activity. Okay, I'm a Singaporean and I was coaching as an officer leader, right? This water polo team, and my role was to lead them towards champion. So all of you who are attending this would be a leader in some way or the other, and your role as a leader is to give guidance and motivation and solve problems. Because they will hand you the problem and you have to solve the problem, right? All right, that's why when I was 55 years, all right, that was when I gave the lecture then. Okay, now I stop here deliberately to show you, right? Like for example, this Huawei, right? Huawei, as you know, right? Americans are dead against them, right? Even if you went around the internet, you put my name, you'll find.
Excuse me, can you please stop first? We can't see any of your videos.
Hello.
Hi, we can't see the videos.
Wait, let me see. Yeah, let me try. New share. You can't see it. No. Okay. Wait. You can see it? I can't see. I can't see now. Okay, wait, I try and see. Okay, this one is wrong. Right? Now let me try again. I click this. I may lose you all. Right? Let me try. No, let me see. All right. I'm sorry. Apologies. Okay, I try again. This share. Wait, I cannot get it. Wait. Hello, can I see?
Yes, Dr. Fu.
I can see. Can you see now?
Yes, Dr. Fu, yes.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for your patience. Bye. Okay, now right. All right, now I like to pause here for a while to explain to you, right? This Huawei. All right, you'll find, right? Huawei is a company that is feared by America. They are the leaders of 5G. But my first encounter with Huawei goes back to when the time when Cisco came to me, and Cisco told me bluntly that they don't know why they could not compete with Huawei in China, and they are very certain the mind of Huawei is different from the mind of American corporate companies. In other words, there is a sharp difference between Chinese strategic thinking and MBA style strategic thinking. Right? And for right? And of course, I did some research into Huawei, and I said, look, they use an animal as a model. They follow Sun Tzu, right? What do? They follow the wolf as a model. If you want, you can go to internet and of course, I had an agreement with Huawei. Huawei wanted me to use the same coaching approach I use for all the companies in America under Cisco. I told them NTU will never allow that. My full-time job is a professor, not to do workshop, but right. But then what we agreed was they videotape it, they give me the rights to it, I allow them to use it for the training. Right, Cisco, fantastic company in their own right. But I think American companies are more constrained than companies like Huawei. Huawei are actually, I believe personally, have got strong Chinese government support. But one key point, of course, is that they use their management approach are very interesting. Right? Huawei believe the wolf as a community. Wolf. Right? Chinese call 狼性管理. So Chinese still use Sun Tzu approach, right? Sun Tzu, you'll find if you study out the war in detail, right? A lot of people make the mistake of trying to water down Sun Tzu into a model, right? Of course, I have a book called All the Key Management Models, but it would be a mistake to try and reduce Sun Tzu to a management model without studying the original text of Sun Tzu. Right, Sun Tzu actually used a lot of metaphors. For example, for timing, Sun Tzu used the eagle. For coordination, Sun Tzu uses what? The snake. Okay, and the deer comes together in coordination. Right. So Huawei is following this tradition, but they see wolf. The wolf they hunt in packs. And then if you know Germany, right, the U-boats. Right. They also, right, the guy who actually conceptualized this U-boat attack strategy also used the idea of the wolf pack. Right, a pack mentality of extreme loyalty and devotion to the group binds the wolf together as a unit, despite times of scare, spray, or violence. Now, this is where human beings differ. Human beings, when there's money to make everybody happy, we partner together, you're very happy, smiling away. But the moment there is no sales, like COVID now, right, you'll find like a lot of partnership gonna break up, right? But wolves don't do that, right? Leadership within the pack is a matter of supreme importance. The leader of the pack initiates the pattern play. Which direction the pack will travel, where to rest, when to hunt. A well-established leader rarely has his authority challenged. He or she directs pack activities and also takes the initiative in reacting to intrusions. Now, what I'm saying is, All right. I mean, no point. Of course, there are a lot of leadership books in the market. All right, you can read them. And I'm not saying that they're not useful. I'm merely saying that in any game, you see who is the winner and you follow him. I believe in followership. You follow close enough, you overtake and you win. In long distance running, it's the same strategy. So you follow, right? Huawei, if you can. What do they do? How do they train? How do they lead? Why they use the Wu? They model themselves after the Wu. I'm not saying you follow blind, but at least you, all right, know where they are coming from. Now this is for Singapore, right? Singapore society well knitted together, MRT linking up estate, you bond people together. Now, very important here is, you know, I don't ever talk about profitability, although my MBA in finance, but we talk about survival. That's what Sun Tzu is about, the Tao of survival, the mastery of the way to survival. The closest analogy in the West would be to study Charles Darwin, Darwinian theory. And Darwin came to the same conclusion as Sun Tzu has. Right? Sun Tzu says the best way to survive is to adapt. And you read Charles Darwin, so I'll tell you, right, it's not the most intelligent that wins the race. Not the most intelligent, it is the most adaptable. Okay, now, so, introduction, right? I tell you, very important to remember that power survival. Okay, now this is the period of time 10 years back, right, where I was advising people that you shouldn't get out of Sing dollar. The US currency is not safe, right? Okay. All right. One of the venture, right, I suggest, right, is to go in search of gorilla. And one of the things we plan to do in our graduate diploma program, if not for the COVID, all right, is to plan for a trip to China to see how Sun Tzu is being used in China, right? And then to go to the Sun Tzu city, right, in China to learn. But then I would say that the gorilla is equally interesting. How to test if Sun Tzu's ideas on leadership is really valid, the art of gorilla leadership. In the world of mountain gorillas, how do you identify who is community lead champion? Right, nowadays community is important, right? You know, internet, and you establish community, establish followership, right? How you lead. Okay, now, interestingly, although strong and powerful gorillas are generally very gentle and shy, they live in groups of 2 to 40 individuals, averaging about 11. That's about the size that you lead in human groups too. And then, of course, you know, this explains it. He decides when and what his decisions are. Okay, now I test ideas, right? I do not accept anything just like that. I will always test ideas. And I want to test, okay, is this gorilla, right? Is this gorilla, right? Is he conform to what Sun Tzu say? Right? Is he wise? Is he believable? Is he kind? Is he brave and firm in the context of the gorilla society? Okay, so testing out of war concept. Now, everything you do, right, you should test. You shouldn't just believe at face value. Especially Sun Tzu written 2,500 years ago. But I can tell you, right, that I'm shocked, but Sun Tzu is really very valid. Very sound advice. Okay, now, so believable, and you see they're believable because they leave the gorilla, this chief, to decide when and where to forage, rest, and sleep. He protects them from human predators. So these qualities, even the gorilla, you can use Sun Tzu to test. And yes, he emerged. Yes, what Sun Tzu said is solid. It's still there, right? And he decides when and where to sleep. This is the behavior of the gorilla as a leader. Now transfer back to you. You want to be a leader, you have to lead in this, you have to take upon yourself this responsibility, or at least community felt that you are the best person to enable all this. What you say, people believe what you say, you are kind, you are brave, and so on and so forth. What did Sun Tzu miss out? Right? Okay, right. When you study Sun Tzu, you must always be thinking. The thinking approach is very important. All right, now, so in my course, I launched this Mind on Sun Tzu course, all right? And I always tell my students, most importantly, you must think around out of the wall. Some of you may be my student, I do not know, but you'll know me, I wouldn't remember you. I'm so sorry, I should remember you if I can. I got too many, right? So only lecturer that provides the thinking classroom for his module. Or you finally have a chance to use our brain, but maybe in a way, right? What do I do in my program, right? And I hope to introduce this to Advantage step by step. Huh? Right? What I do is I like the students to anticipate what's going to happen next. Real world event, no point, but strategy is about the future, not about the past. Right? So after you sharpen your mind out of war, sharpening phase really is so that you know what strategy people are using. You can study out of war using Sun Tzu thinking to map. And Sun Tzu out of war contains a lot of stratagems too. Then next, what you do, you deepen. Given this strategy, use again, you try and deepen your mind, come with a counter strategy. Very important, a lot of people miss it out, is Sun Tzu doesn't provide a solution, never does provide a solution. He only point the way. The Chinese call 指点, it 指点 you. What does it 指点? What does Sun Tzu tell you about strategy? In a class environment, I could have asked you, I could point out to you, but then I'm just facing this computer, so right. What happened is you have to think our original strategy. Sun Tzu tell you never repeat your strategy. You must come up with your strategy so that your enemy doesn't even know how you come up with that strategy or how on earth you win. Now you read carefully Sun Tzu in detail. All right, what I see a lot on the internet are really watered down version of Sun Tzu. They don't really grasp what the true meaning of Sun Tzu. And that's the difference when it comes to application. Okay, now back to this, all right? A chance to use your brain. How to ensure you use your brain? You must look at event. For example, what's happening in Korea now? Is Kim dead? Why you say Kim is dead? But it doesn't matter. The key point is he or is he not dead? I would pose that as a class question. If you get it right, you get distinction. You don't have to explain and argue to me. No need, not necessary. But that is for academician to do. But strategy always, you use partial information. But by the time you collect full information, the war over. This is something that is extremely important for you. So didn't emphasize that, but I will emphasize that to you. In the real world, you can never hope to get complete information and then you deduce. You have to sharpen the ability to deduce based on partial information. Okay. Now this is what I wanted to pause and to explain to you. All right. On reading Out of War, all right, that's why you should study Out of War. Now let me explain to you history of Mao. Okay, Mao Zedong is, well, I think he's the best strategist in China in history, except for one lady, right, which you don't have to know now, right? I won't confuse you, but he is very good. I went to Shaoshan. I went to visit Mao in his museum. I saw his writing base, but the key thing really is, and why does this relate to our talk today? Because his strategic thinking comes from Three Kingdoms. All right? He read Three Kingdoms over and over again. He's never been to a military college. Pong Po, all his other generals, Zhou Enlai, or they may have been to all these colleges, but he has not been. Chiang Kai-shek was doing very well in the military colleges, but they all lost to him. And according to him, he only relied on 三国演义. That was his text for strategy. Now, next he says, so when he was in Yan'an, this is the period of Yan'an, when he is formulating all his theory to fight, how to fight the Japanese. Right? What did he say on reading Art of War? What did he say? He says that this guy Sun Tzu thinks like me. So he didn't even have Sun Tzu Art of War at the beginning. But he now rectified for you. Right? That's how the Chinese master Art of War, thinking, not on how to. So a lot of people ask, okay, how do I apply? How do I apply? No, it's American style education. The how-to part is because of science. Technician, you teach how to fix this, how to fix that, you know. And nowadays, software, I become a professional certified, all this is how-to, yes, because you're learning how to use the software. But here in strategy, no, it's far more complex. It's far more dynamic and far more complex, especially in a civilization that's 5,000 years old. In America, 200 years, I don't think that's much. And of course, America, there's no need for you to master the kind of strategy. Why? Why? Now, I live in Long Island, New York. I've been a visiting professor in New York Institute of Technology. I've been to Harvard, and I tell the Americans have got very short history, 200 years. On top of that, China, US have got a very strong legal system, so you cannot lie. You lie, and the courts is very different structure. So you, right? Only because China is coming up, all right? Then I think China will lead to a change in culture or management. That's why I think it's important for you to know this right now. So I move on, right? So otherwise we have time to finish off. But as a leader for strategy, learn to think fast and deep like Sun Tzu. How? Reflect Art of War. Your takeaway is chapter 3. Now, this is a very important chapter. Right, in our diploma course, right, we actually focus on sharpening, and therefore, what I did was I actually reduced Sun Tzu Art of War into 156 concepts. But this chapter 3, right, is very important because it emphasizes attack by stratagems. You don't find any English text in strategy that tells you that. Machiavelli and Claude Street doesn't talk about attack by stratagem. In Chinese, they call what? 计对计. This is called strategizing stratagem. 谋略, 谋, 攻, attack by stratagem. So if you have time after this, go and look up. Internet otherwise available, right? But please get the right translation. Better see read the original text. This chapter is very important, the meaning of 谋攻, attack by stratagem. So you got to figure out what the enemy stratagem is before you can attack their strategy. And strategy of that nature will probably be in the mind of the competitor. So that's why the requirement is much more stringent. You need to use spies, and you need to use spies who are intelligent, witty, can deduce the right thing. Okay, now, right, by Sun Tzu rank reckoning, right, I have this superimposed so you can see number. I'll try and move it back a bit. Okay, you see Hitler, the worst leader, right? You see it here, right? Worst leader. And then you see the bomb, all the cities, right? Sun Tzu tells you, right? You win by stratagem, not by ashes, nor corpses. Take a city, but never in ashes. Take over the enemy forces, but not as corpses. So definitely, all right, Sun Tzu is one level above Hitler in terms of strategy. But Hitler is, pardon me for saying so, right? He's not a stupid guy. He's an intelligent guy too. For a man who could command top generals, the German general, he got to be good too, right? But this is not to discuss about Hitler, but I'm just merely telling you one of the key points of stratagem is how can you win without losing? You can take an object as it is alive in its best condition. Okay, now you find, all right, Stalingrad is a real blunder, right? And of course, you know, at least Napoleon managed to return, right? In terms of return rate, Napoleon is higher than the German. The only conqueror who could conquer the world and conquer Russia and whole Russia is Genghis Khan. That's why you find that European, right? You know, when Dean Turo, MIT Dean, who came to, who I know came to visit me, he told me that, you know, the Europeans in general have a fear of the yellow horde. Why the China rise creates such uneasiness in Europe, right? Simply because Genghis Khan was the only conqueror who succeeded in doing before Hitler and Napoleon. And Hitler couldn't do it, couldn't succeed. Of 300,000 German soldiers sent to attack the city of Stalingrad, only 6,000 returned. Meaning you say you put in 1 billion into investment, you get back $6, you know. I mean, what I'm saying in financial terms, you must always convert this financial terms. The world is very money oriented. So only 2% return, 98% left as corpses. So by stratagem, the worst general. Okay, now maybe I should explain this part of it. Right now, 2,500 years ago, right, Sun Tzu already won in this Ping Fa, right, Sun Tzu, right, and the German relied from 135 to the end. Anybody trying to ask me a question? Okay, right. And of course, the reason why you find in my lectures, I draw references to Germany, but I lived there before. I was in Duisburg. I was working for Klöckner Industrieanlagen. But the best part is, if you need to be convinced why you should master the war and learn it cold and not learn it in depth, right? Look at Americans. The Americans are the superpower of the world. I mean, I never estimate the Americans, not even now, right? They still have the most number of nuclear weapons. They are still the widest army, right? But they have now fallen completely for art of war. And then you'll find that I was actually the only Chinese professor of the Americans who actually participated in this history channel on Sun Tzu's Art of War. And very importantly is that Sun Tzu thinks not inside the box, but outside of the box. War, most American generals start with war per se. War started, okay, how we fight it, right? They're constrained to think inside the box. But whereas Sun Tzu thinks outside the box. And of course, one thing maybe I shouldn't be saying so openly, but I just don't like the idea that, you know, Americans just simply put in more bombs in Laos than the whole number of bombs that's been let go in the World War II. I mean, it's insane. But then, you know, I'm an MBA in finance. I was just thinking, look, if I calculate the profit the company made, and then you must check, and actually you find that American presidents, some of them own the industry, the war industry, and those who own the war industry will likely favor the use of bombs. So American fighting is not much strategy. It's just bombing, bum, 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 bum. And of course, 30% of all the bombs that were dropped during this secret war did not explode. So I wrote a book on Laos, and because I was writing a book on Laos, and because I visited there, I went to give a lecture, I researched on it, I was so stunned. The number of bombs they need to drop on a country like Laos is insane. Right now, I don't know You know, if you can write in the chat group and I can reward you something, that'd be good, you know. But right now, you find that, you know, I don't limit myself to studying strategies only in China. I study all, right? Indian strategies, Muslim strategies, right? You know, and then I look at I reference them back to Sun Tzu in Art of War, and you find, right, actually Sun Tzu would read Akbar. This guy is Akbar, right? Akbar is Mongol emperor in India, right? And he actually applies Sun Tzu. How, right? He does not, right? He conquer without fighting. He win without fighting. When he want to take over a state, he will put his whole army out there, at the borders, within sight of the enemy, right? And then we'll go through a lot of training exercises, right? The emperor of the state, or the king of the state, watching all this display of power, right? Simply kaput and surrendered and agreed, you know, to be part of his empire, right? So when you study history or look at any other war, you just look back, reference back to Sun Tzu, and you find actually, right, there are good models outside of China that conform to Sun Tzu criteria. Right now, so let me go back again. Sorry, we may miss it. Okay, Akbar the Great. Right, he is one of the very tolerant of all religions. Right, he actually came up with a law for toleration of all religions. Singapore is ideal in that sense. Singapore is right. Right, we have all religions, and we should be tolerant of all religions. Okay, now this is one thing which I, you know, at that event I actually spoke up, and of course some may not like it, right? But I'll be honest with you what I think about these things, right? And of course you find that this is Patton. Patton is one of American most famous general. But the question is, I couldn't find any Sun Tzu general in the U.S. Army during the Second World War, and I tell you why I had all this slide here, right? Okay, the problem with America, right, is in Pentagon, is that when America decides to go to war, let's say now, right? Let's say now, Trump will have a meeting in the White House, and the general sitting around him, and you say, look, we shall go to war with China. You know what happened? Generals who get the assignment will get 1 star, 1 more star. Patton was a 3-star general, right? Not like Eisenhower, right? And you know, if you are a general, right, would you want war? Would you not want war? Would you conform to Sun Tzu, you know, win by not fighting? No, you wouldn't. Okay, so this is one of the setback of Pentagon, right? That when there's a war, right, they get promotion. Okay, the king must never, and this is Sun Tzu's prescription, and it should apply to you as a leader too. If you are ignorant of something, don't make decisions. Do not retire, advance, or direct army without knowing. But you only confound your officers. Let them fight unfettered. One of the worst leaders in your company, managers in company, I always hear, that guy doesn't know, but he likes to kacau. He likes to make things worse. He likes to, you know, give a lot of instructions, you know. Right. And the worst thing, you know, he send the wrong arrows, you know. What I mean by that, I used to work in a stat board, National Productivity Board. And you find in government department, right, the higher level will shoot arrow, you know. Not literally shooting arrow, but your arrow, this guy take metal arrow to you, you handle arrow. So sometimes they shoot the wrong arrow. They assign the wrong people to do the wrong job, you know. It's very important, do not confound your officers. Let your army fight unfettered. This is a classic case of what I call misinformation. And this is really unbelievable. You just study and you couldn't believe reality can be so absurd. The Russian spy told Stalin that Hitler planned his attack on the Soviet Union in June 1941. Right? He refused to believe it and did not inform his frontline troops. So when the German attack started, one surprise officer radioed, "We are fired on. What shall we do?" You know, the Russian headquarters said, "You must be mad. Why is your signal not in code?" And you'll find, and this is the biggest blunder the Russian made. But thereafter they make up for it. All right, thereafter they make up for it because Stalin couldn't believe Hitler would attack Russia. Right, and of course, community is one of the most powerful concepts in art of war thinking. Then of course I showed earlier, right? But that one, like, I let it pass about speed of change in handphone and all that technology. Okay, now I wouldn't make the same mistake again. That was when I actually we got a website, a Sun Tzu website, and after I put this up on the website and posted on it, you know, it was being brought down by somebody from the Middle East. You know, what I did was I actually said that the Hezbollah community strategy. I told them that, you know, you study all the one of my hobby is to like to see how people fight. You know. And therefore, as a community-based movement, I told them that Hezbollah were very good. The forces consist of elite core, right, 1,000 professional fighters. In addition to an inestimable number of village men who serve as reservists, the decentralized command and control structure, coupled with virtually impenetrable organizational secrets, is typical of guerrilla groups. These are all Sun Tzu stratagems, right? Sun Tzu is very logical, right? In fact, you ask me, right, will I serve under Sun Tzu or under other warrior? I don't think I like his style of fighting because he's too calculative. You say equally matched, we use stratagem. If fight time enemy, then we attack. Less enemy, we draw. Inferior aspects, we elude. Right? You can see here a highly logical, rational, careful strategies. Right? My personality is a bit more reckless than this. You know? I would rather prefer to serve under a warrior who say, "Look, we have 20,000 enemy, 400,000, we attack. Never mind, we would win on based on bravery." But that's my personal view. But Sun Tzu is very situational, very calculative. Right, if you have time, you go. I don't think I will only give half an hour for question and answer. Right, you'll find here. Okay, I actually want to show you again. This is available on internet. You can source the internet, right? And I explain here why Hezbollah strategy is the most Sun Tzuian of all. Right? Okay. You can read it. You can verify that. All right, my favorite company, all right, is actually this company. All right, if you know, Harley Davidson. I rode one in New York with a gang, and they invited me, so I had to do a short ride, you know. Right, but it's really a community thing. Community supports you. You can't go wrong. The community didn't allow Harley Davidson to go bankrupt, to close up, despite the Japanese competition. They love the sound of the broom, broom, broom. They like the community. They like to, as a club. So I say the best way to do business is to have a club. People who believe in the doctrine, believe in the philosophy, and you know, right? So. Right now, here I want to emphasize is the just good enough for the prize, right? Because we are very many competition, right? There was McDonald, how McDonald attacked Starbucks, and of course a lot of people try to overdo it, right? But McDonald's idea was just good enough for the prize, fine tuning. Very important in knowledge, and of course if you do our program, right, I will expect you to apply knowledge. Knowledge has to be applied. It is everything for winning. You can't take someone's formula and then apply. No, you got to figure out, right, your situation. Don't forget, whatever strategy you have, it must suit your personality. It must suit your situation. And you know best the situation. No consultant can formulate a strategy that's ideal for you. You can only give the broad contour. Then from there, you must fine-tune your strategy. How would you approach it, given your personality or how you've been perceived and so on. So application is everything for winning. And in our last module, right, I'm thinking of having war for Singapore. Japanese fought and won. Only 10,000 Japanese troops beat British 120,000. In fact, you study how we lost Singapore. Sun Tzu is in it, in every phase of it. All right. So analysis, coaching, all right, sports, the use of sports. All right. Right, that was a time when I was discussing about China versus US. You find a lot of my work related to this area, especially the financial part of it. Right, and I say World War III, there no need bullets, just Mao's yen. Now to update this, right, cannot seen virus. Good. I think I finished it. All right. I click this. I hope I stop share. Okay. Good. Any questions now? I think I've more or less presented, right, leadership and then the role of strategy or stratagem in it. And Three Kingdoms, there are so many examples. Any questions so far? It's Bam Hardy, all right. Bam Hardy. Are you English, or are you Australian? Or I'm glad you joined the talk.
New Zealander.
Hi, Michael Lockett. Yes,
Yeah.
you're very senior. Good. Yes. Ask the question if you have any.
Not at the moment. I'm just all ears.
You're Australian then?
New Zealander.
Huh?
New Zealander. From New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay, good. New Zealand. Maori.
No. Wash your mouth out.
Good. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Right.
Okay. Any questions? If you have to ask, I would then move on to Three Kingdoms a bit more. But I think you should ask those who are here. Is your time, introduction. We are trying for the first time. I think we are probably the first in the world to try to do it through a program on linking out of war to modern management. Handling, recording. Okay, if not, then I would tell about Three Kingdoms then. We may or may not start a full program on Three Kingdoms, but the reason why I'm hesitant is that it is very long. Can you all see this? It's 120 chapters. Could you all see it? Hello. Okay, I try and get. Can you see it? Wait, yeah, can you see it? 120 chapters.
Yeah.
All right, so that's why. Wait, let me check. Yeah. Right, 120 chapters, very long. Right, so I'm not too eager to move on it, but then, right, but I'll explain a bit about this this Tree Kingdom thing. New share, right? I got to learn how to use this. Okay, now let me see. I was like, oh, okay, okay. Tree Kingdoms, I would give you the training, and I'll give you a presentation on Tree Kingdom. Right, now, can you see this? Do you see the slides? Right, can you see it? Oh, you can? Okay, now, right. We are trying to launch the only Tree Kingdom program in English. Right, China is fast on the rise. So looking further ahead, you should train yourself, immerse yourself, and your next skill set should be on the Tree Kingdom. Right, Tree Kingdom is like what I call the Harvard case studies. Right, you find every episode there's a lot of strategic thinking involved, and there's no better way to understand Chinese strategic culture than to study the Tree Kingdom. In other words, if you really study the Tree Kingdom, right, then you'll find that you will be beginning to think like Mao Zedong, right? Because reading influences the thinking. So the other art of war, the next level up on mastering Chinese strategic thinking is the romance of Tree Kingdom. Right, and of course, Mao had never been to military school. He mastered strategy through studying Tree Kingdom. He once said, "Sun Tzu thinks like me." Right. So, and during this Tree Kingdom training, the next few slides, right, will be a test. If you can answer all these slides, then there's no need, because you probably know enough of Art of War 2. Right. Okay. Ready? Can you describe how the Chinese strategize? How do they think? How do they formulate strategies? Right. This is actually a model, right, of a Chinese planning, and they plan, use map, and they discuss, and right. So the idea of Tree Kingdom is to see how Chinese mind works in terms of decision making. And one thing you must realize, Chinese don't change. Just certain aspects of Chinese culture are timeless. And one thing I believe is strategizing how they formulate. And of course, from a very practical angle, if you're hoping to be a board director and then participate in China in discussing strategy, there's nothing better than quoting from Tree Kingdom to justify your proposal. Now, I've been to China 10 years now, and I was so amazed that to the Chinese, it's as though time has stood still. So when you quote from Tree Kingdom, it has a lot of validity. Or you quote from Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu is 2,500 years ago, and yet they gave a lot of mileage to it. Can you recognize this? Anyone in writing? Could you recognize this? If you can, then I don't think I have to. Then you know a lot of Chinese culture. This is actually the famous Tao of Guan Yi, the famous warrior in Tree Kingdom, and the sword, Bao Jian. Okay, now, can you name all these three men? Right. This guy is Guan Gong, right? This is Liu Bei, this is Zhang Fei, the three brothers. All right, so Tree Kingdom starts with this alliance between the three brothers. We call it, I would say, that joint ventures. And it's very important in China who you joint venture with and the ritual they go through in order to form joint venture is clearly seen in the first episode of Alliance. And then you'll find, all right, tricking them, all right, to explain it is almost every facet of strategy. And actually, when we call it three kingdom, because there are three key characters, and each represent contrasting strategy behavior. That's why it's so good for you to go through this and the way they think, the way the logic, the argument. Number one, I personally think the best is Cao Cao. Right. I say again, Cao Cao. Right. He is what I call, all right, Machiavelli terms. Right. He looks like a lion, right, but he thinks like a wolf. Right. And this guy is really the person who Mao Zedong admires for strategy. He uses talent like today you do. All look for talent. He sizes up men. And you find that he uses men, uses top people, right? And he's decisive. What he made, he really decides, right? Remember the word Cao Cao, CAO, Cao Cao. Now, this guy, right, is Liu Bei. Who is Liu Bei? Right? Liu Bei is the humanistic guy, the nice guy. The guy of principle. He's supposed to be a descendant of the Han Dynasty, all right? But I don't like him at all because I think he's too feminine, too soft. He's not realistic, right? And I think if he has been a bit more harsh, a bit more realistic, he could have succeeded. And then the third person is Yan Shao. Right? Who is Yan Shao? Yan Shao is the Japanese like him. You know, Japanese decision making is exactly like Yan Shao. You know, Japanese when they formulate strategy. Right? I live in Tokyo for about 6 months. Right? I was sent to Japan to learn Japanese corporate strategy. And then the Japanese style of decision making is very interesting. Right? They actually go around and ask everybody. So Yan Shao's style is, he's the leader, no doubt, but he will ask everybody, what do you think? What do you think, Mr. Tan, Mr. A? He wouldn't decide. And after everybody has spoken, then he will tell you, let me think about it. Let me think about it. Indecisive. But everybody can say their peace of mind. That is Yan Shao. And so you find that the three kingdom arose because of these three leaders competing for hegemony in China. Now, this one is what is depicted in this scene. Those who know San Kuo Yan Li and those who are in China, they know it well, you will answer it. Right. Anyone? Maybe you put in writing, it'd be nice. We got some participation. Bam Hadi, you're Singaporean Eurasian. I was spot on guessing, I was English, as my ancestors were, right? Okay. All right, anyone? I don't believe none there now, you know, right? You know this scene. Can you see this scene? Can you identify this scene? Now, if you want to test how well a guy knows Chinese culture, I mean, knowing Chinese culture is different from knowing Chinese language. You show him this diagram. If he's into Chinese culture, he sees this, you'll know what it's about. This is a very, very famous scene. All right, this is really about another strategy, right? This is Liu Bei. All right, and then Guan Yi and Zhang Fei, they actually won. They come to heart looking for one of the most famous strategies. In fact, some would say it's better than Sun Tzu. All right, this is Zhuge Liang. Right, Zhuge Liang, I say sorry, Zhuge Liang. I know for those who are English head, your tongue may have problem twisting it. Zhuge Liang. Right, they call him what? All right. Chen Xuan. He's capable of calculation, estimating things like a god, godlike strategies. And here, actually, this is a story of how Liu Bei come and seek to engage Zhuge Liang as his counselor. Now, one thing very different from Chinese strategy and you study European, all right, European history and all the medieval period. right? The kings make decisions on their own. They don't have a strategy counselor. In China, no. Every king will have a strategy counselor. Three Kingdoms, you'll see that, all right? And some may have more than one, who will give opinion, who does the thinking work. They're more than just consultant. They will actually advise the king on strategy decision making, right? So he came and he had to see this Zhuge Liang 3 times before he finally was able to meet him. And then, right, that's why this scene is so important. Okay, now, so this scene, repeat the scene. So now, and then of course, use out of war as text and Three Kingdoms 4 cases. Right? And this is for mastery of our strategy. Now, so we have a number of learning requirements, right? This is a structure of the course. But I'll prefer you to do the full set, the full program, and we will award you the graduate diploma, provided we do it in a rigorous way. And of course, you find that if you want to, I have an article, Emergent Complexity and Organization, Three Kingdoms Sense-Making Complexity Theory, right? Then of course, Three Kingdoms is ideal for training of top management, boardroom level. Why? Because it deals with strategy. Every main character within a tree, our leaders, they're all CEOs. So you see CEOs all vying for power, or board of directors. Board of directors, people attend a board meeting. And of course, I like to use this board meeting. Accept that, all right? It's very much like the modern board meeting. Accept that the chairman, the boss, will sit on one level higher than the rest. Or sometimes they all stand. But it's like a board meeting, a boardroom, like a boardroom meeting. All right, so, and then the idea, of course, is to learn Three Kingdoms, experience Three Kingdoms as a culture. And very important to see the stratagem in Three Kingdoms. Summarize it all up in 3 words. What is the strategy they're using? You'll find, all right, this Chinese style strategy, right? They can reduce everything down to one character. Like the episode in Three Kingdoms, the Red Cliff. What was one word that summarized the strategy? If you know Red Cliff, the Battle of the Red Cliff, one word, fire, war. Right? They're very different from what do you call the strategy that IBM used to do. They formulate volumes, 3 volumes, and 1 volume about 2-inch thick of strategy. Chinese is, they will formulate the key idea and summarize it in keywords. So identify the key, all right, episode. Cite Three Kingdoms in writing, speaking. So if you are hoping to be a CEO in China, you're hoping to be any person important in China, and if you know Three Kingdoms and able to quote it in situ, when we are talking, you are able to quote, then you understand the Chinese philosophy. And they will know that this guy understands us, how we work. Learn strategy that works, especially when Chinese are in charge of this world. Will they be? I don't know. I can't forecast the future. But it looks like they're overtaking the United States. And then relate Three Kingdoms to managing, to lead in Three Kingdoms discussions. Now in Japan, all right, they have got Three Kingdoms Club. Every city has got a club where the people meet to discuss Three Kingdoms. And they will say beforehand, right, today we'll discuss this episode in the Three Kingdoms. And then they all go there, drink, and then they will chit-chat, they will discuss, and they explore. And this is why I call, all right, Three Kingdoms discussions. In Japan itself, there's this club. And in China too, right? China, their research society just based on one theme. And then try to develop Three Kingdoms type of ideas. Right? Three Kingdoms type ideas are what you find most. If you go through 120 chapters, you will see there's some consistency, some pattern. Right? How the Chinese formulate strategy. Right? It's just like Harvard Business School. You want to learn how to formulate strategy for a company, what do? What the Harvard takes the approach? No conceptual model. It just give you 100 cases and you analyze them. Right? Same approach if you were to study Three Kingdoms for strategy. Grasp how the Chinese think. Negotiate better in China. And then learn to compete the Three Kingdoms way. So it's a very long objective. I well thought through. I've been very keen on tricking them after I learned that Mao Zedong actually used that as the tags, key tags for strategy. Right. So, we actually try and do the coaching approach, meaning to say that, and of course, this is where we actually look at episode after episode. And then from there, we'll try, right, to script down the scenario from that. Is there a parallel experience we have in business? Because we are not interested to go to history. We are saying this is the model. Can we look at the scenario of the modern world and say, this is a parallel. This parallel to tricking them. Right? And to complete the program is scheduled on a weekly basis. It may take as long as half a year. So, I recommend a bi-weekly coaching session. The program may be completed in 1 year. So each session is typically 3-hour session. Right? This was the time when we were looking for companies that are really into China. I came out with this because I realized that there may be a demand. If Cisco finds so hard to compete with China, the root problem is the mentality is different. The psychology is different. Then I think this would be available as an in-house program, right? Not a public program. But not everybody compete inside China. Have to compete with China for the market, right? Like Cisco had to. Right? So, but if you do it, I think this should be a solid program. I don't go for half measures. My style, I do it perfectly and try to do as cleanly as possible, clear it all, so that you will be better than the Chinese in tricking them. And believe me, all right, to beat the Chinese, to impress the Chinese, you've got to be better than them. Right now, so this is my approach. I'm just exploring it. Complete art of war managing by tricking them, art of managing. Script the scenario, the Vinays. Why? Because unless you can relate event that happened out of war to a corporate event, to a management event, then you're not thinking. And there's no spoon feeding, not possible. Right? And then thinking, reflecting, meditating on it, and sharing our ideas. And this guy was my colleague, right, in Sweden, right, Copenhagen, and he was very keen on actually getting Swedish company. The background to this is very simple. I was at NTU and I was brought in by the Maersk, M-A-E-R-S-K, Maersk shipping company. The chairman came to me and said that, Professor Fu, can you help us? All right, Maersk was one of the first few companies to penetrate into China. We got 19 officers, 17 CEOs. All right, and out of the 19 CEOs, 17 of them want a posting back to Copenhagen, Europe. One of them couldn't decide. One of them liked to stay. Right. So I went up there. I went up to China, to Beijing, and then we did a 2-day unstructured seminar. Why? Because they have enough problems. It's problem solving. And when they tell me their scenario, right, the Vinay, right, verbally, what they experience, I can see very clearly, right, that the Chinese were actually using stratagems on them. Right. That's why I came up with this complete structure. If the Europeans had got that kind of training, I can anticipate that it will be easy. I also gave Maersk one advice. Right? You want to send leaders to China, you have to have somebody who had gray hair. Right? They were sending people in the 20s and 30s to be CEO of, because China is huge. So every city they have one CEO. I said definitely 30, not possible for the Chinese to accept. The guy who enjoyed it there was one guy, 69 years old, carrying a walking stick. So I'm sharing with you my experience, real experience about this. And that's why I came up with this idea. Long-lasting benefits of the program, right? Integrate MBA approach with ancient Chinese techniques. Because way back already, I was thinking about this. Develop a different worldview. Right? China is 5,000 years old. You must realize one thing. You know, Sun Tzu Fa actually, you asked me, is actually 5,000 years old. Why? Because when Sun Tzu wrote that book 2,500 years old, he was actually consolidating the earlier dynasties out of war. And new skill for managing in chaos, how the stratagems are applied. Three Kingdoms is a chaotic period. It's not stable, right? Now I believe it's equally chaos. When was the quiet, nice period? In the 60s and 70s, right? I think that this now is very chaotic. And how you master deep strategic thinking. Now for Japanese, Sanko is a must study text. Learn to handle complex events, analogous to many Vinay. Cite from Three Kingdoms in your negotiation meetings. I can tell you, you go to China, your MBA or Japan won't impress them, but your ability to quote from Three Kingdoms or from out of the world correctly would impress them. Learn key Chinese phrases in Pinyin. Sharpen your manager practices. Master and refine your Guanxi skill. Now you'll find, all right, okay, of course, you may say that there are a lot of manipulation. But then you see, that's China, right? They have survived 5,000 years. For them, the Guanxi level, how they build relationship is a fine art. Okay, then of course, see how famous stratagem like Kong Chen Ji is invented. Master the intricate networking skill required for success in Chinese market. Be familiar with Chinese typology of leaders. Chinese don't use theory X, theory Y, and all those theory that you learn in management. But I can relate them to Three Kingdoms. But then they use concrete characters. Like they, for example, they say, this guy is a Cao Cao, you must be careful. Then you know what it's meant, right? And learn how to counter a stratagem by seeing through schemes. Right? Refine the art of Chinese speaking. What not to say, how to say. Right? This, if you study Three Kingdoms, you will see, right? The counselor will advise the king what not to say, what to say, what to say, how to say it, and all that. And if you are immersed in Three Kingdoms, you will adapt and you will learn. And deeply grasp the Chinese minds. Right? This is what I say. For me, all right, although I'm Chinese, all right, it took me a long while to really adapt to mainland Chinese way of behavior and thinking. Right? It's highly intricate. Intricacy of honor, betrayal, intrigue. The kind of intrigue they do, But I can tell you this is, in other words, you'll find that, this course will be worth your while. Definitely. If you put your heart and soul to mastering it, you don't have to get the diploma. No, you don't have to get me wrong. But I think a lot of now the society has changed. How do you convince the Chinese that you Three Kingdoms? The best way is to code correctly and at the right time. That's the best. Other than that, when you apply for a job, you say, look, we're done one. And they know me in China. Not because of me, but because I actually founded the Chinese Management Studies Journal that's equal to Harvard Business Review. Right, so you put my Chinese name. Don't take my word for it. Take my Chinese name, you put internet. You see a lot of university will have my speeches recorded there. Good. Any question? 3:30 is up. So I don't want to rush through, and I just thought I just finish it. Okay, and this discussion, All right. So coaching philosophy, learning through dialogues. So I want to start this with a dialogue, but obviously, right, the technology doesn't enable us for me to hear you so well. Right. Okay, now bear this in mind, right? In ancient China, the concept of Three Kingdoms are transmitted through dialogues. They sit together, they talk about it, and then one narrator will narrate it. The farmers gather under moonlight, listening passionately to a tale being narrated. And then from this storyteller will be a tale of heroes from a bygone era. Then the farmers chatted deep into the night. Who is right? Who is heroic? Who is strategic? Discussion of character, personality, and all that. So this is exactly what is recreated through the complete art of managing from Three Kingdoms. A context for coaching created by me in order to optimize interaction and learning through dialogue. In China, right, Three Kingdoms is routinely cited during business conversation, board meeting, and negotiation. And through this program, you become a master of citing from Three Kingdoms in real world situations. Okay, right, I think I should conclude here. I think that I covered mostly all that. I believe you should immerse yourself in the right environment, and you can give you the context. Right, a bit long. Okay, I was in Chiao Tung Daxue. They actually used my book, right? Organizing Strategy. They translated English, but didn't get my permission into Chinese. But they then invite me back, you know, to give a talk about my research on strategy. So develop a career, I think this is ideal for those who wants to be CEOs. Right? I know Art of War and its application in the romance of Three Kingdoms. Okay, I think I should stop here a bit because of the video just now. Right? I lost some time. What are the requests? Could you show that? I will send this to. I'll send this to Emily. Emily will forward to you, right? Ken, as soon as if I navigate, I may lose everything again. You know. Okay. It's in English. You email to Emily, and I tell her that someone requesting for it. Okay. Any question? If not, thank you for being present, listening to my discussion.